changing anything but the order in which you do the Wright Balance Express. That's all. So the order that's done now, I'll give you a preview of. So we're down here. We've added knee flex. I'm going to go through the whole thing here in a second and show you. So the changes, and then we would have you come to a seated position. Well, that seated position requires that the spine becomes perpendicular to the ground, and that is tough to do. So I experienced it myself a couple of weeks ago, where anything we do standing from here to here is on the rotational plane. So if I don't stand all the way back up, I don't get the spine straight, my rotational plane, either front or back, is going to be off. And it was. At my age, if I don't do the exercise, I get stiffness, I get tightness, might get some subtle pain in my back if I'm working, doing whatever I'm doing, lifting, and not a good thing to have. And you'll see with aging how important these exercises become for you. So this is the order, this is the change. All right, so I'm gonna go out, roll my shoulder, I have no knee flex, roll my shoulders toward my sternum, in through my nose. We're going to talk about breathing here in a moment. No breath holding, by the way. In through your nose, exhale through your mouth. In through your nose. 2 deep breaths should put you out to a good 10 seconds. The next move is to keep the back straight. Okay, keep the back straight. And now I go down, add knee flex. In through the nose, exhale through my mouth. In through my nose, exhale through my mouth. Then I stand tall, and I pull the back to my chest, in through my nose, out through my mouth. In through my nose, out through my mouth. And then I sit down. This is keeping my spine angle straight, and I'm working, again, this is all rotational plane. In through my nose, out through my mouth. So when I stand tall, I should be able to go to any stance with and be square. Add knee flex, go to any stance with and be square. That's because those 4 exercises change the rotational plane. However, if I step forward, I have rotation. If I step back, I have rotation, both sides. So we can isolate, those are rotational plane. So now I'm going to do the sagittal plane. Oh, let's take a look at one other thing here. I didn't show you my right shoulder was down. So even though if I drop my fist here, that's measuring the rotational plane. However, I raise my fist, this is telling me, there we go, my right shoulder's lower and my right hip is higher. So I'm going to correct that. That's the frontal or coronal plane, goes this way. So these exercises I'm about to do will correct that plane as well. So I've done the rotational. Now I want to have no knee flex, lean forward, and there we go. No knee flex, and just let your upper body weight take you down. Add through the mouth, and now I add knee flex. Okay, so that is the front. If I take a step forward, I still have rotation. That's coming out of the back. However, now if I take a step back, I stay square. Take another step back, I stay square. So that forward motion is the sagittal plane on the front side. So now we're going to do the back. And then no knee flex. Now I'm going to pinch my shoulder blades together and lean back. Now, if you're working with a student or you're doing this yourself and they have any balance issues, stand behind your students, put a wall, something behind them in case they lose their balance. And lock out the knees here. And now we add knee flex, in through my nose, out through my mouth. Okay. So now, step forward, I'm good. Step back, I'm good. Another step back, I'm good on both sides. Hips are square no matter where I go. So I've impacted the rotational plane, forward movement and back this way. Anything parallel to this line is called sagittal. Now, if I drop my hands and I raise my fist, I've also leveled my shoulders. Now, when you work with students and you're doing the exercise, you'll find that when they take that step forward, they're going to have a little bit of rotation the first time. If they do the exercise, once you're working with them to do the exercise, or you do them, you start to do them over 2-3 days, they will square up and level out everywhere. So when you're teaching this exercise, though, it's no different than anything else in the lesson. I would encourage you to video your student as they're doing them. You can give them a copy of the video I'm going to make, or make one yourself that shows them how to do the exercise and how to work on the breathing. Now, a number of years ago, I got very much into breathing. You've heard me talk about inhaling through the nose and the impact it has on nitric oxide and getting to the lungs, vasodilation, which will give more oxygenation to the muscle. Wim Hof, I don't know if you've heard that name or not. Ice baths, hiking into, I don't know, Mount McKinley or whatever in his shorts, extreme athlete, and got a bit into Wim Hof and breath holding. So that's where the breath holding came from in the exercise. I talked to Chad Kermel. Chad's an assistant coach at Michigan State. And Chad said, I don't mean to be laughing or smiling. But he said he had a player who told him he was getting nauseous when he held his breath. Holding your breath will increase blood pressure. So not something that you want to do with your students. My apologies. I'm talking to one of my youngest son last night about. I said, Dad, you had me doing Wim Hof. I almost passed out. And he has a lot of different breathing strategies. So, I mean, if you're into Wim Hof, you're into the extreme athletes. I no longer hold my breath doing this exercise, by the way, based upon conversation with Chad. Chad and I had a Zoom call yesterday. And he said, Doc, I want to tell you a story before we get started, because we were talking. Chad is helping out on the organization of the content. So he said he's an assistant coach. This is an N of 1, and you know how I feel about research. He said, I have a player who's a sophomore who best finish in a tournament was 15. I coached at University of Southern California for 8 years. So I understand the tournament schedule, and now they're into the last leg. College golf is in the last leg where they go to what's called regionals and then nationals. And he said that he got this young man who's a sophomore, Chad refers to it as the breathing. And I said, what do you mean breathing? He says, well, the Wright Balance Express. Had him do the Wright Balance Express. He won the next tournament, and the team won, and moved them into now they can hang on for another, I think, 3 or 4 tournaments. They'll go to regionals, which is significant. You're coaching your players, being able to get to that level. And if they play well in regionals, I think Chad told me last year they missed it by 1. Then they go to the national championship, which is big. So what you'll find is, and I said to Chad, You know what's gonna happen now. Your teammates are gonna say, what are you doing? What'd you do differently? And they're gonna be coming to you wanting to try the Wright Balance Express as well. That will happen with your students. Okay,